Hello, everyone, and welcome to Q&A with Qlik. Today, we're going to be talking about Analytics App Development. I want to introduce myself. My name is Troy Rainey. I work helping put together videos and webinars like this one. We've got a familiar expert panel for you today. Ola, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure, and thank you. So I work as a technical content developer. I build a lot of content for our different products capabilities that then are put on Qlik Learning for everybody to view and consume. And I've been working with the Qlik platform for about 10 years.
Awesome. And Patrick.
Yeah, my name is Patrick. I'm a lead product designer, so I do partially UI UX design, but I also look at usage, how much things are being used, plan for new capabilities, how it's going to work, and so on. Yeah, and been
Fantastic.
here for 12 years, or unofficially 15 years.
Very cool. All right. Well, when you registered, you had an opportunity to submit some questions ahead of time. And so we've got a few pre-submitted questions we're going to start with. But if you have any questions, go ahead and enter them in the Q&A tool now, and we'll get to them as soon as we can. First question. How do people from different locations can collaborate on editing an app object and sheets in Qlik Cloud?
So for Qlik Cloud, that's your shared space. So private space is your content, managed space is content that you're pushing to a wider audience. Shared space is where you have access to the app together with other app developers. The main issue right now is that you have something called public sheets and something called private sheets. So whenever you want to develop something in there, you have to take the public sheet, make it private. So you unpublish it and then you work on it. Then you publish it back. But you can work with shared master items. You can work with a load script. There is history in the load script to blame whoever made something wrong in there. But shared space is your place to work together.
Great, thank you. Next question. Is there a way to optimize concatenation with the use case of having an incremental load and a time critical data loading script? Loading the delta from the source takes about 1 minute, but concatenating it to the existing QBD file, which becomes around 3 GB, takes sometimes more than 15.
Yeah, so when working with concatenation, the first thing that we need to look if we want to optimize it is that both the tables contain the same fields. That is that they have a similar structure, so the concatenation doesn't have to create new fields in the tables.
Hmm.
So what you could do if they do not have the same fields is that you can generate the missing fields in the script and thereby being able to increase load time if you if so that's the first thing that you need to look at. Otherwise, you might need to look at a way to minimize the size of the files or the data. See if you can aggregate it or load it in other applications. We also got a comment here in the chat that you can use an outer join to maintain an optimized load as well. So that's another way to look at it. But you want to keep this optimized loads, and you want to have the same structure of your tables.
Great. Thank you. Great tips as well. All right. Next question. Could you comment on plans to create shared master items, dimensions, measures, visualizations, which can be shared across applications? Thank you.
So I can comment from a design perspective that there are plans. We are working on design for it. It's right now, depending on if it and when it gets released so on, it would start out as something scripted, where you in the load script can define your master dimension, master measures, and have them updated when you reload the app and added when you load the app. And as usual, you could put this into a text file or spreadsheet and you could have them loaded during the load. So that would be a start. Something where more shared between app, like a library across apps, that would be more for later. But I'm not going to give you any estimate on when or how it comes.
Sure.
Yeah.
Next question. To modify a sheet in a Qlik Cloud application, it has to be made private. Can I find out which sheets have been made private by other users?
So actually, this was a pre-submitted question, which was good. So I had some time to look at that. So there is an API, which I think was quite recently released, as in this year or late last year, which is for platform operations. So if you have look in there, there is an example, if you scroll down, that can list all the sheets in an app and also say if they are public or private and who is the owner of the sheets. So using Qlik CLI, using a modified version of this script, you could find out where all the sheets are and by which person. I'm guessing this is the scenario where someone has unpublished a sheet working on it maybe in a shared space.
Yeah, that's great that you're able to find that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. Is HTML reporting in progress for Qlik Cloud as seen in printing?
So there's nothing that we've announced about it yet. So far, we have tabular reports and Pixel Perfect that are available in reporting, but you can achieve similar functionality to HTML reports through automations where you dynamically build your HTML script and then you can add objects from Qlik applications like tables and visualizations, and then you can use that HTML to either generate an email and send it, or just store the file somewhere. But similar functionality, but it's not as out of the box as it would be if we came through the reporting. There are templates to look at on application automation, which generate HTML reports, so you can look closer at that if you're interested.
That just reminded me that a few of the features are going through a name change at the moment. We're still in the transition, but application automation is now called Qlik Automate. We're trying
That's
to name
true.
things based on their functionality. And yeah, it just reminded me of that. Sorry. All right, next question. We struggle with developing in one app and a team of 4 developers. There's a
Mhm.
lot to do, so team size makes sense to have enough progress. How do we avoid stepping on each other's toes in development?
Yeah, so this is a good question. I mean, when we talk about app development, there are kind of two parts of it. So the one part is creating the script and the data model, and the other part is creating the visualizations. And then, of course, this differs from our different tools as well. So if we're talking about Qlik View, it's one thing. If we're talking about Qlik Sense, another thing. If we're talking about Qlik Cloud,
Right.
it's a third thing. But generally speaking, there are some, I mean, you need to sit down and define a process for developing, either if it's script or if it's the visualization part, to define on who works on what and when and where. Then, as Patrick mentioned before, we have versioning on the Qlik script in Qlik Cloud, for example. So you can go in and see work with the different versions of the script there. And then we have the deployment framework, which is a little bit more thorough on Qlik View and Qlik Sense, but there is a beta version on Qlik Cloud as well. And we can provide the link to that. It's on GitHub. So we'll provide that in kind of the show. Oh, here you have it up there. So
Yeah,
look at the screen. Yeah,
I just pushed that
exactly.
out.
Yeah, so and that kind of defines on how to set up applications with where you have like the same the correct name of variables and being able to work multiple developers in one place. So that's one point. And I think Patrick, you had a point to make as well.
Yep. So we have Qlik Ideation, which we always promote as these meetups. So it's a great way going to the Qlik community, going into ideation, finding the topics in there. If your topic is not in there, you can create it. But if there is a topic in there, make sure to log in, go into that topic and vote. So in this question for the being able to work with public keys together, there is actually at least one in here that I found, but it doesn't have that many votes yet. So make sure to go in here and vote on it.
Create sheets directly in
Yeah,
public.
that's the one.
Yeah.
So you can see here using the Qlik Sense app, easy to find, and you can click on and open it and then vote on it if you're logged in. So 12 votes right now. Let's see what it is tomorrow.
Yeah, so you're going to go in here, see the original post, vote for it here. This is the thumbs up we're looking for from people. Subscribe to get updates on this. And I wanted to point out this field here on status. You can see that this one is already on the roadmap. So they've recognized this in product management as something that is valuable. And you can see some are in development, some are still collecting feedback, some are on the roadmap. So this is a great resource, and product management definitely uses this when they're trying to get arguments for putting new features into production. So please vote for things that you think would be valuable. Great. Next question. Is there a possibility to copy paste master KPIs, etc., from one app to another? We have a bunch of universal KPIs that are relevant for multiple reports. It'd be easy if we could somehow maintain them centrally. I guess that's similar to a question we had previously.
Yeah, so it's similar to the one we had previously. The current method that most people use is putting them into a spreadsheet and loading them in as variables in an app. That way you can have one file that you govern and it gets updated in the variable, but that doesn't create a master measure or master dimension from it. And yeah, so that's also on the roadmap. Make sure to go in and vote on it.
Great. Next question. Regarding automations, why can only the user that set them up maintain them? Is there another way? And
Yes, actually we're in the middle of rolling out shared automations. So that's kind of the framework to start collaborating on automations. Because as the question said before, it's been tied to the individual user that's created the automation, and that means that it needs to be exported and imported if multiple people want to work with it. But we're rolling it out as we speak. You can see the article that's linked here, which will show a little bit on our rollout scheme and also talks a little bit about how it will work when it is live.
but basically it's turning it into a shared object. So you could put it into a shared space and then assign permissions to the
Yeah,
space so that multiple users can have access to it.
exactly. Similar to how we share other objects inside of Qlik Cloud applications and so on. So
Yeah, I love that.
that's a good, yeah, and it's a feature that's been highly requested through ideation before as well. So it's one of these items that we're very happy to finally be able to introduce.
Very cool. Next question. How does Qlik Sense cope with large data sets, as in greater than 4 or 5 GB and 8 million rows? They're having to use dashboard Qlik View because it was taking too long in Qlik Sense. Any ideas?
Yeah, well, there's it has to do if we're talking about the on-prem product, it has to do with a couple of things. I mean, most basically, it's the amount of storage space and RAM on the server where the solution is hosted.
Right.
But there also comes a kind of a threshold where you can't add more hardware to make it work faster. So in that case, you need to start working on app automation. No, sorry, app optimization. And there you can look at working with predefined selections and bookmarks, for example. So when you log onto the dashboard, you already have a couple of filters applied, which means that it will take lesser time to load. Can decrease the calculations that you're using, aggregate some data in the script and not in the UI. So try to create some aggregations in the script instead. Remove redundant data, and if you want to, you can even segment it into multiple applications if needed. So these are some basic tips, but you want to kind of go in and optimize your application, and there are, at least in Qlik Cloud, there's a app optimizer that you can run as well, which will should give you some tips and tricks on how to optimize your application. It's something that we provide as monitoring applications.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, next question. Moving over to the live ones. Qlik Cloud capacity-based subscription, when you load data from Qlik API, where you get a list of users, apps, etc. for your tenant, is the data loaded from API seen as external data, which is loaded to the daily peak value meter, or is it seen as loading internal data and thus not added to the daily peak? It's a good question.
It's a good question. You can go into Qlik Help and it'll give you a somewhat overview on how the calculations are done. But when it comes to the specific scenario, I'm a little bit unfamiliar with how it calculates. Do you know, Patrick, or?
I'm not.
Oh, no.
No.
It's a little bit outside of my area of expertise. So
Yeah,
try to post that, maybe post that on our Qlik community forum.
yeah, I had this prepared because it always comes up some question that we're not quite ready to answer, or not have the expertise on or experience with. But on Qlik Community, there's some excellent forums. There's over 250,000 users, a lot of them employees on Qlik Community. And if you find the forum you're looking for, there must be something here regarding capacity, but I'm not sure where it is. You can also do the products, forums by product or groups. There's lots of different industries and locations. But I had kind of prepared to talk about app development, so I had pulled up that forum. But uh, if you can't find the answer you're looking for right away from us, you can always post the question here, and there's a lot of active users out there that hopefully can provide a better answer. But yeah, as Ola mentioned, they give some details in Qlik Help how those calculations are made.
I could also just mention that you can generate a capacity consumption overview report inside of the admin console of Qlik Cloud as well. If you want to go in and analyze your capacity in a little larger detail, so that's just inside of admin settings. You'll be able to create that overview, and that will allow you to go in and really analyze in detail what is causing your capacity to rise or not.
Yeah, and you mentioning that reminded me that we covered this in a recent Texpert talk called Qlik Cloud Admin 101 with Umberto De Domenico, where we looked at the app optimization feature about capacity licensing and being able to go in and check on things. So I'll just post the link to this video and you can review that. But we do address a lot of those topics. All right, next question. How to see the data available in a QVD, which is already saved in cloud? So trying to preview the data of the QVD? Not quite sure.
I believe so. I can share my screen. I can show you.
Great.
So this, I'm assuming that when you save the QED, you're saving it to a space. So that would mean that it shows up in your catalog. So I have a QED file here with city geo. So if I go into it here, there is 25,000 rows, 3 fields. This is the size in here. These are the fields in here. These are the data types by the fields, how many visitors, views, etc. Then if you go into profile, you will see here that this data set has not been profiled, so it doesn't actually have that much information. Depending on the size of your data set, profiling is going to take longer or shorter. This is pretty small, so I just click the profile data set, and it should go pretty quickly, hopefully. And once it's profiled, you have a couple of views over here. One here being the thumbnails views, which gives you an overview of what's the range of the data, what's the any null values, etc. Then you have the last button here that looks like a table, the data view. And if I click on it, that's when you get the rows and the columns. Not every row and column, just a preview, but at least you can understand what data is in there without having to load it into an app and then looking for it.
That's
So
great.
maybe it's the profiling and it's finding that data table icon that's needed.
Very helpful. Thank you. Next question. I'm currently working with Qlik and I would like to create a dynamic map visualization of Azerbaijan using data imported from SQL. Could you please explain step by step how I can achieve this in Qlik? There may be a
So
lot of
I
steps
think
there.
I think the next the next question is the same question as well.
yeah.
There was also
Oh, thank you.
one, yeah,
So yeah,
So
I'll
I
just read
can,
it.
yeah,
yeah.
Want the map to reflect region city level metrics that are updated dynamically based on the SQL data source. Any guidance on configuring the map layer, coordinates, and data binding would be very helpful. So looking to create a dynamic map object.
Yeah.
yeah. So
So where you want
You can show. I'll just plug Qlik Learning here really quickly. So I'm going to put a link in the chat where I've gone into Qlik Learning and I've done a search for everything that contains maps. Inside of that, there are a couple of courses on how to work with geoanalytics and how to work with our maps, our map items as well. So I think that going in there to get this kind of step-by-step approach is really good. And we have that not just on maps, but on other items and topics as well.
Yep. So first, before you actually get started with anything, you can go to Qlik Analytics and you can see what type of geocoding is supported. So in this case here, you can see that for level 3, we do have the Republic of Azerbaijan down here. So I think we should have quite good data on it.
Mhm.
That's the first thing. The second thing you can do is, so in this case here, I don't have Azerbaijan data. I don't even have my Swedish data. I can't find it. But I have, for example, some states in here. So what I can do is that I can, this was a long time since I did it last time. So I can add in a map object in here. I can go into a layer. Let's create a area layer, polygon layer. And then I add in the dimension that I want to use. So in this case is, for example, the state name. I think we have it here, state name. And it was actually quite good at just identifying them by itself. But I can also specify here that I don't want to use the name because names can be spelled differently and easily misspelled. I could use the state, I think this field is the one that's correct. Yeah, so this is the ID instead. Now it happens to be that many states have the same ID as a state in the US.
Mhm.
So what I then have to do is turn off the scope for location in here. And I have to say that my location is administrative level 1 data. I think this is here for the states. If you have level 3 data, level 2 data, you specify here what level it is. So now it gets kind of better. And then you can specify either by having the data in here or typing in the country. I think you can specify and then narrow it down saying that I want you to map this ID to any ID that's located within the region of US. And then if you had even lower, you could say like, I have a field for the country, I have a field for the state, I want you to show me where the cities are located. Then you just add on fields in here to scope it even further down to get the correct position. But as Ola said, the education team has a lot of videos and introductions to how to work with this.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for jumping in there and showing how it works with the US data. But it's also nice to know that there's a lot of available data for Azerbaijan as well, since that's specific, that question. Okay, next question. Is there a way to add CSS script since the multi-KPI is being deprecated?
So is there no way to add? So product management is aware of it. Product management, design, development, we are looking at options and things like there. So yes, the multi-KPI will most likely go away and it's being deprecated, but the last word on how to use and work with CSS is not said yet.
Okay, that's fair. Next question. I would like to know if it's possible to download data files used and created by the app in Qlik Cloud. Well,
Well,
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. So if you want to download the QVD files, for example, that are generated, you can do that by in some aspects, at least through Automate, where you can create automations to do that. So that's one way of doing it.
But I mean,
I've
if they're in a shared space, you have access to having the right to download files. That's something that can be allowed by the administrator, right? Doesn't matter if it's an app or a data file. I believe download rights can be provided.
I know
So
that
this is
on.
not this is not the data inside the app. This is the data files being used. I think, or
Well, it says used and created by the apps.
okay, remember that. Yeah.
Hmm. All right. Were you looking up anything on that, or should we move
Yeah,
on?
I'm just double checking something. Yeah, no, we can move on, I think.
Okay. Next question. Is it possible to extract data from SAP using change data capture? So this is on the Qlik Cloud data integration side, but I know we have an SAP connector. Uh, so I would
Yeah,
absolutely say yes. And we have people loading, customers loading SAP data all the time, even directly into the analytics side. And so I would suggest taking a look at the connectors that are available. And if you don't, for whatever reason, the native SAP connector isn't available, there's other options as well through the, what is it? The data gateway. I believe there's some connections available as well. And that's where you basically just install something locally to make it easier to and more secure to load data directly to the Qlik Cloud. But anyway, yes. Okay, next question. I want to extract it to a lake house in Microsoft Fabric. It looks like that might have been a follow-up to something else that I.
the one you just asked,
Okay.
the question, yes, about this, yeah.
Well, I mean, these are all data integrations questions. Today we're trying to focus our questions on app development, but uh, yeah, I'm just not the expert for that. So I would suggest going to a forum on data integrations and posting that question. Again, that was here on Qlik Community Forums, Data Integration and Quality, and see if you can find a forum that seems to match the question you're trying to ask. But to get a more clear answer, or you could just take a search on, the best tool is hiding in plain sight. This tool, this search bar right here, this will search across the Qlik help documentation, Qlik community, several YouTube channels for Qlik, and all of our knowledge support knowledge base. So you could just search right here and you might be able to find the answer. All right, next question. Any public/private status for master visuals on the roadmap? Well, I feel like we gotten that same question multiple times now.
I think this is follow-up that I said that we're working on master dimension and master measures. So master visualizations is on the roadmap, but way more down. So
Okay,
vote, vote, vote.
great. Sorry, we're just getting around to these questions. And I'll jump to the next one on the list 'cause since it was from the same user. Is that report available for customers considering conversion to capacity model? Oh, it's not related to that question. Do you guys know what that question was in regards to? The report,
I think was it the one that we said about
the report for capacity consumption. Thank
yeah,
you.
the report
I'm
for
seeing it.
capacity.
Well, that's when that distributed consumption report, right?
Yeah, exactly. So the report there was talking about is available under which is available on the admin is for current capacity model subscription users. So I know that there are unofficial tools that we use to kind of help customers with converting to a capacity model. So I'd contact in that case sales or some kind of rep that will help you go through that. But there's nothing publicly available for that as of now.
Great.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. I sometimes find that my script changes have not been saved. Oh no. Resulting in sections not being renamed or smaller changes not being applied, especially annoying when bug fixing. Will a save button come back, or is there another way to force save? I guess my first question is which product we're talking about, if it's in the cloud or on-prem.
So the save button is only available on the desktop version, I think. You are supposed to be able to use Control S to save. I'm not a person who usually uses it, but according to our documentation, Control S is a shortcut for being able to save both on Windows and for cloud. So
That's
yeah.
good to know. Control S, the old
But
magic.
it also says in the chat that does not work on script objects. So maybe it's just for the scripts.
Hmm. Okay, thank you for that extra help there. Next question. Public collections are a popular feature for our claims function. Unfortunately, they require admin permission to publish and modify. Is public collections maintenance a candidate for a custom role that we can assign at the professional license level? Wow, that's a good question. What do you guys think? Is that something for ideation, or I'm not sure the details?
It's a little bit outside of the visualization part again,
Yeah,
but as custom roles is something that I would start looking at least
definitely.
to see that.
There might be something there. Sorry, we don't have more detail on that, but I'll move on. Next question. Since Data Gateway data transfer will go out of support next year, what is the best tool to load QVDs or Parquet files? I know that Data Gateway do the same job, but it affects two times the capacity, one for the data read from the source and once for the QVD generated. Okay. So basically looking for a way to load QVDs, if I'm reading that right, or Parquet files.
Yep.
It's a good question.
Outside of my area also.
Yeah, not quite within the scope of today's discussion, but I mean, Qlik Cloud is all about, especially the Qlik Cloud Analytics. The analytics side is all about loading from QVDs. So I feel like there's got to be some optimized. I mean, that's an optimized proprietary. Uh, what I'm saying, trying to say, data type. So a file type, yeah. But we're also talking about generating, going from a different data source, it sounds like, and then creating DVDs and then reading from the QVDs. So we got a bit of a pipeline there.
Yep.
Sorry, I don't have a better answer, but loading files, you know what? I think we'll just have to schedule another Q&A with Qlik regarding Qlik Talent Cloud data integration, and we'll see if we can get some experts in here that have a better answer to that. Or you can go to the forums under data integration and post that question. Sorry, we don't have a better answer.
Mm.
Okay, next question regarding community. Community posts are sometimes older and not valid anymore due to updates or changes. Is there a way to find out if a solution is still working without adapting your whole app to do it? Just to find out if it's not working like that anymore. So it's kind of a general question. I'm sure there's something specific prompted it, but what's the best way to find out about features being applied to current versions?
I
As I
would
guess
say the easiest thing is just to ask, is this still valid? If it's a very old post, hoping that the person who creates asked the question or created a solution is still, yeah, available in the community.
that's a great idea.
Yeah, and I do know that we do archive old articles on community as well. So you'll see that sometimes when you press a link on an article that's live, that's referencing another article that's out of date, you'll see that that article isn't there anymore. So we do try to housekeep our content.
And here on Qlik Help is the what's new in Qlik Cloud, and there's the SaaS changelog where you can see what the latest information is, and you can search through here or even subscribe to the feed and hopefully find what you're looking for and see if it applies. I'll post that link. Next question. We need to know if there's an effective and simpler way to manage user reports and subscriptions without having to access each application's reporting section individually. I'm looking for a global view by user and their reports. Report Analyzer doesn't meet this requirement. Um, because that was the first thing that came to my idea, my mind is the Report Analyzer. So
Well, one thing, just talking about the report analyzer as the app is that you can create your own sheets on report analyzer as well. So if it is that you're missing or you feel like the report analyzer doesn't show exactly what you want it to, you could go in and create your own sheets there as well. Working with the data that's loaded into the report analyzer to build a dashboard or to build an overview that more fits what you're trying to show.
that's true. It is just an app, so you can always, yeah. My favorite method is just to duplicate something that's close to what I want and then change the fields around. That's a
But
good,
yeah, I think that's the best way to look at the reports today, at least.
to get by user and each user's reports. That
Yeah,
because that data I feel like is in there. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
hopefully that will help. Next question. Qlik Capacity Analytics allow to create QVDs from sources like SAP with Data Movement Gateway, CDC. Oh, this is a follow-up to something we were talking about. Right. So basically, we're still on, this is a follow-up to the data integrations discussion we had where we're using the data movement gateway to load data from SAP to
Yeah.
move that data into QVDs. And
Yeah.
let me scroll down. Am I missing anything that maybe was added? A script to upload files is available on Qlik Help in the migration tool section. Okay. According to my understanding, Qlik Data Gateway Direct Access does not support 32-bit ODBC connectors. I'm wondering if this is on the roadmap. Sorry, I'm trying to see if there's any other questions related to this would provide more information. But uh, yeah, I don't have a good answer because I'm not quite sure exactly what the question was. But regarding creating data pipelines to load data from SAP that's on the Qlik Talent Cloud, the data integration side of Qlik Cloud. And you can totally do that and create QVDs, which you can then load and to the analytics side. And I don't think you need the data movement gateway anymore. That's part of why we're trying to move away from the data movement gateway, but I'm not 100% sure. So my best advice is the data integration forums. I'm sorry for not having a better answer at this time. All right, next question. When developing an application, we have to make sheets private in order to modify them. But when another user comes to the application, they can no longer see the sheets, of course. But they don't know who's modifying them either. Is there a solution for this?
Well, the easy solution for this is instead of making the sheets private, copy the sheet and make your changes in the copy instead, so you can still have that sheet public. And then when you're done, publish the new version of the sheet and take away the old version of the sheet.
That's a great suggestion. Nice. Okay, next question. Can admin automate KPI report distribution in Qlik Sense with section access in place, ensuring each user receives only their respective data? So, talking about Qlik Sense capacity with section access and reporting.
Yeah, I mean, when you generate reports or the section access is applied to those reports.
Great. Thank you, Ola. Next question. Not sure if this is for the form again. According to my understanding, Qlik Data Gateway Direct Access does not support 32-bit ODBC connections. I'm wondering if this is on the roadmap. Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know. Use cases for a legacy database with only 32-bit ODBC drivers. Yeah, I guess I would recommend Qlik Community doing a quick search on that central search to see what you might find right here. 32-bit ODBC. And here's what I mean. It searches across all content, the knowledge base, which is our support knowledge base of articles, Qlik community forums, Qlik help documentation, release notes, video content, which is basically a collection of Qlik YouTube channels. Hopefully you'll find what you're looking for there. Yeah, it looks like maybe this is you. I mean, the issue, it's only 64-bit, it's saying. So hopefully we'll get a response. I'm here, so I'm just going to see if we have gotten a response lately. Somebody posted a solution. All right. Sorry I didn't have a better solution than the forum, but hopefully we'll get some traction there. And I'll try and schedule a Q&A with Qlik focusing purely on data integration. Okay, next question. I created a custom theme to develop apps using our company's color scheme. Very cool. I want to add some padding to the titles of the different visualizations so there's some white space above the border of the title and the title. I read that I needed to create a CSS file to include it in my custom theme folder. However, no matter how I do this, it doesn't seem to work. There are a few Qlik themes that have padding. Is there a way to get the CSS or whatever that file might be that they use to do this? What are the cloud-based, so I don't have the ability to see those files myself? Any ideas about adding white space to
So
titles and themes?
as the person who asked the question wrote, yes, you could probably do it with CSS. The specific classes that you need to change and how you want to change them, I'm not certain about. The one thing to think about when it's CSS, and I'm going to share my screen if that's possible,
Yeah.
is that yes, you have to include it. So if you look at the documentation for the themes, you can see here that there is a section in the theme that's called custom styles. So if you define that and you say that there's a CSS reference and class reference and the name of the CSS file, then that's going to be loaded also together with the theming file if the path and the name of the CSS file is in the correct place. But exactly which CSS files to get that padding, I wouldn't be able to say. Yeah.
Great. Next question. Can Qlik do forecasting? And if so, what's the best way to implement it? So that sounds like Qlik Predict.
Yeah. So there are two ways that you can do this right now. There is a forecasting option on charts, so you can apply some very simple forecasting on charts where you click a button and it will show you a forecast based on that on the data that you have there. But to really get the scientific machine learning forecasting, it's working with Qlik Predict, which is the new name for Qlik AutoML.
Great. We've got a few questions left. See if we can get through them. Next question. Is there any limitation on the bookmarks you can create in an app? Thinking about creating 5,000 bookmarks, but not sure if there's any limitation. Also, any limits in the personal sheets? The users can create anything, or is there any limitation there?
So there is, as far as I know, no real limitation on amount of bookmarks. Somewhere there's probably a hard-coded value, but it's pretty large. But as far as I know, the list that shows bookmarks, I don't know if it's going to page in more than the first 100 bookmarks. So even if you have 5,000 bookmarks, you may not be able to see more than a certain amount. You can still search and for them and see them, but I'm not certain we're going to be able to scroll through 5,000 bookmarks. I think the limit was 100 before. I'm not certain if we change that limit or not.
Great. Next question. Is there a way to get a list of all enabled users with their email addresses? The analyzer reports do not have email. I
The one way to do it
Mhm.
is to load a table into Qlik with the user's email addresses and then connect that to the table within the application. So you have to manage that and create an Excel file or whatever you want and just have the user ID and their email addresses connected. You could find that in that way.
Cool. Next question. Can we download elements from Qlik Cloud or Qlik Cloud Analytics? For example, upload file with report recipients, machine learning models deployments, uploaded different data files, data flows, etc. So
I
the
mean, the things that you can download, that's when you right click or find the hamburger icon or the three dots or whatever it is that's connected to the object. And if there is an option to download it, you'll be able to do that. Applications, for example, you can download. And then there's some other files as well. So you need to. I'm unaware if there's a list with exactly what you are allowed to download and not download. And then there's some things that you can export through automations as well. Just go and check if it's downloadable or not.
Great. This one's next question is a follow-up. A PowerShell script to upload files, QVDs, Parquet is available on Qlik Help in the Migration Tools section named Upload Qlik Cloud Data Files.ps1. The script can replace Qlik Data Transfer. Great. Thank you for that. Next question. What's the equivalent in Qlik coding for finding results for multiple conditions, like SQL case when expression? other than nested if statements? Hmm.
Yeah, this is a little bit context dependent as well. Are we talking about in the scripting part, or is it inside of visualizations? Because there are multiple functions that you can use. I mean, if we're looking for we can do like star searches on data inside when we load the data into. We can also use where and stuff like that. But then if we're inside an application and we want to find things, there's pick and match, and there's some other functions. So it kind of we need more specific use case here to be able
Yeah.
to answer that question. But there are multiple methods if it's in the script or if it's in the front end.
I would say if it's in the front end, pick match is what I usually use.
Yeah.
If you want to get started with that.
Could you say that again? What do you
Pick
usually?
pick match.
Ah,
You pick a value and you match it against another value.
great. Thank you for that. All right. Next question. The last question we haven't answered yet. Uh, is there any way to hand code a data flow? I know there's no script ways to build a data flow. Of course, there's some details you have to add with those connections, but on the data integration side, you can totally the visual tooling is pretty robust when it comes to ways of building a oh, but I'm thinking of a pipeline, not a data
Yeah,
flow.
no, a data flow is a no-code solution right now. So that's kind of the what we're aiming for there. I'm not 100% sure that
Hmm.
you can't hand code it, but my initial answer would be that you can't, because it's trying to be a no-code, although the solution.
Yeah, the follow-up there is he's trying to convert an existing script. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's tricky. So that may not work. Another question just came in. Follow up on email addresses question. The email address is in the admin section of the all users section. How can I
Yeah,
pull that data?
I was thinking a little bit about that when I answered the question as well. The thing is that you can't necessarily pull every part of data inside of the platform. Not everything is available through logs and stuff like that. So I was a little bit unsure if you could get the email addresses from the manage user part. That's why I said that it's better to load them in a table.
Yeah, it feels like there's something on the IDP side, like if you're trying to pull email addresses, maybe.
Yeah, I think the question is if the email addresses are stored in a table somewhere inside of the
Hmm.
cloud and you can access them through a log or something like that. It's nothing that I've seen that you're able to do, and that all as usual does not mean that it's not possible.
Yeah. Well, we're almost at the top of the hour. Oh,
There's a API version 1 users call maybe.
there we go.
Yeah, you can show Qlik.dev maybe, because there's on Qlik.dev there are a lot of platform applications that you can do through. So if you go into manage, so Developer is our collection of the APIs on our platform and how to work with embedded analytics and create extensions and stuff like that. But also there's a lot of good management functions there that you can do. So here's how you can list the users, for example, and what you can get to the users. But it's still yeah,
Yeah.
maybe you could build an automation in that case that gets that up and running, because Automate works with the Qlik API also. So you can look at that. And the automation team is very open, or the Qlik Automate team is very open for suggestions on new templates as well. So if you have a good idea or there's something that you feel you want as a template inside of the platform, you can go and request them to do that. And they'll look into it.
Great. One more question came in, so we'll see if we can get to it. Is there a way to display the sheets in the app just as the file names rather than the big block icons, like window files with details? This could be helpful to find the dashboards with longer names and many sheets in the same app with multiple users.
So there is a list view of the sheets,
There you
but
go.
it just compacts it down. It doesn't have any more details like who created it, when it was
Mm,
bought and modified, and so on. So I would say it's just a list view. Yeah, it's a list view still with the thumbnail and the name. So no, there's no details view really.
okay. Well, thank you everyone for the excellent questions, and I loved the all the follow-up and feedback that people are providing, helping out. It feels like a great forum. Thank you so much to our expert panel here, Ola, Patrick. I really appreciate you guys going through all these and addressing as much as we can. Um, that's all the time we have today. I hope you all have a great rest of your afternoon and morning. Thank you so much.